All right, welcome to day 6. This is actually my rest day from the gym, so we're not going to be doing any gym content. I had the idea today of, unfortunately, it was too late when I did, to do like a little bit of a Q&A in this video. So I posted up a story on my Instagram, and I got a couple questions that I wrote down that we're going to go over while I do this. But I posted it too late, so I didn't get like a ton of questions, unfortunately. The thing that I wanted to do in this video also is solidify what this channel is going to be, like what it's about, what I'm about as a person. So there's a couple things that I wanted to address before I get started. Number one, this isn't a Sam Sulek ripoff like somebody commented on one of my videos. If you watch my first video, you will see that I credit him in the formatting of my video. And I'd never even seen his YouTube videos before until I just met him in Detroit. We're both Hosstile athletes. So we got together, we hung out, we talked a lot, and he's the one who gave me the idea to actually be doing these types of videos just because it just suits me well. This is the kind of content that I should be doing in the first place. If you go watch me on TikTok, you'll see that this is a lot of like similar to what I'd already been doing over there. It's just been in like little tidbits throughout the day instead of, long form content on YouTube. I have a hard time doing short form content like Reels and TikTok. So I've always been wanting to transition to YouTube. I just haven't figured out a format to do so. So Sam gave me this format to use. The journey and everything that I'm doing in my videos is not the same thing. It's completely different. Mine is getting back on track from having fallen off track since 2021 pretty much is the last time I was really 100%. Going over the reasons for that, being very open and vulnerable about my struggles with mental health, things that I've been doing on social media for a while already. So that's what this channel is. It's for me to be open and vulnerable about my journey, getting back on track so that I can help others do the same thing and help people who are struggling with mental health issues not feel so alone, because my whole entire life, what I've been struggling with, I've felt alone in. I have not felt understood or heard. Nobody's made me feel that way. So that's what this channel is. I'm a bodybuilder, so obviously bodybuilder vlog style content is going to be similar with all bodybuilders. You're going to do your full day of eatings, your days of training, like all that stuff is pretty much the exact same thing. But I'm not trying to be another person. I'm just using a format that I was inspired by when I had a conversation with Sam. This video, I thought, since it's a rest day, something that I could do to be a little bit more like symbolic with what my channel is about, being the mental health and vulnerability and everything, is build this Lego set. And that's not going to make any sense to you initially. But the reason that we're going to be doing this while we're answering questions is because one of the big things that threw me off track in the first place was grieving a loss. I lost one of my best friends, unfortunately, to a word that I cannot say on here, the S word. And that's kind of where things initially started to get worse and worse for me. It's not something I'd ever dealt with before. I've already had my mental health issues and my traumas and stuff since I was a kid. So I've had like, things going on already. So that kind of threw me like way off. I kind of gave up on everything. I'm having a hard time figuring out where to start. I guess it wasn't necessarily that sended the cascade down, but a couple months prior to him doing that, I had attempted for the second time in my life. I crashed a car into a concrete barrier going like 80, 90 miles an hour without a seatbelt on, and I survived. So that's where I was at a really low point with my mental health. I have severe depression. It's diagnosed. I'm going to a therapist and psychiatrist. I'm open about that on all my other videos as well. And I did not know my whole life why I was so depressed or upset, why I couldn't enjoy things, why I couldn't hang out with and connect with people, why I wanted to not be alive all of the time. I didn't want to be alive. I had no energy. Like everything was just not great. I would have big periods of time where I wouldn't leave my bed for days, weeks, sometimes months. I was just too depressed to eat and leave my bed. So this is something that I've been having my whole life. And when I saw one of my closest friends actually succeed in doing so, it really, really messed me up, especially since it wasn't that long after I had tried. And he went with me to get this tattoo. And this tattoo is representing me having survived that really tough moment. That's why I get wolf tattoos. That's why all of them are wolves. There's symbolism of like a tough moment that I've gone through and survived. So that's why I got this. And he went with me when I got this, and he told me never do something like that again. And it was just a conversation that we had. So it was really hard for me to deal with that. that's when things started. That's when I stopped taking care of myself and, you know, kind of gave up on everything. That went on for a really long time. And then maybe a year, a little over a year later, I was trying to pick up the pieces. I got a job. I was doing good with my meals again. I was bodybuilding again. And then my close friend Abraham, same story. I lost him. But one day before I lost Abraham, I lost two people in my family. I lost one of my cousins, and I lost a woman who pretty much helped raise me. She was my best friend's grandmother. And that was something that stung a lot too. And then the very next day, I got the news about Abraham, and that just kind of set me off. Gave up again. Everything was dark again. It wasn't an intentional thing. I was trying to push past it because I'd had that prior experience to what I had dealt with already. And it just didn't work. So I just found myself not doing things that I was supposed to be doing again. I started to get back on track again maybe a little bit after that. It was a lot sooner than a year or a year and a half like the first time. I competed in a show. I got the overall. I qualified. It was last year. Things were going good again. I didn't get to be 100% bodybuilder there. That I actually recomped all my size in the prep of that show. So that's when I got back on track. Ended up taking overall. And then my grandpa died. This Lego set was something that I bought for him when he was in the hospital, something that we could do together because he was in the hospital for a while. It was initially a heart attack. So he was in the hospital for about a week and a half before he actually passed. So they live where I used to live, which is about 3 hours away from where I live now. And he got life flighted here to the hospital. So that's why I was trying to spend time with him and everything. I got him this Lego set so that we could do it together because that's kind of something that I've always done as a kid. Every time I've gone over to my grandma and my grandpa's house, I've always been really into Legos. And I thought this would be something we could do together. And unfortunately, he passed away before we could do it. So I wanted to finish this Lego set with you guys so that I don't know, it's just a symbolic thing that I felt like for like the main point of my channel being the mental health thing, or the main point of everything that I'm trying to build as like, I'm trying to be successful and have enough money to fund a nonprofit mental health organization. Mental health is my number one thing that I'm trying to help people with. So I thought that this would be a good video to do with you guys so that I can kind of talk about these things a little bit more. So we'll get into it. I'm not sure if I'll finish it today. If I don't finish it today, we will do it on my next rest day. But that's kind of like the quick version of the story of why things fell off track initially. That's what started it. Just a lot of loss and grief. I've not been through anything like that before, and it made my non-situational depression much worse because then there was a situation behind it as well. So, man, I stopped paying my bills for like a year. I went into a hole. I screwed myself over. I did not care about anything. I did not eat or anything. The only thing I did for about a year was train. And I would survive off of candy every now and then and like protein shakes here and there. But I wasn't going to work. I wasn't paying bills. Put myself in a lot of debt. Climbed out of that hole finally. But pretty much just the hardest thing when you are going through something like that to do is remember to take care of yourself. So if you guys if you guys are going through anything similar to that, just like make sure that you are at least trying to take care of yourselves, because that's something that a lot of people miss. I don't know. It's just when you're so depressed and you're upset and you are feeling so low, you physically are going to feel the same way too. You're not going to have a whole lot of energy to do things. You're not going to find joy in the things that you typically would. Like bodybuilding wasn't doing anything for me at the time anymore. All of my passions. Usually the first indicator for me, if I know that I'm going to start to slip into a non-situational depression, is the music that I typically like doesn't sound good to me anymore, or I just don't care to listen to it anymore. I will stop caring about music altogether because it's just not like doing anything for me in the moment. So after everything happened in October with my attempt, I had actually, I guess, I'm kind of backtracking a little bit with this. I told the story in a quick way and I'm trying to like piece it all together, but I have ADHD, so it's really hard for me, so I'm sorry. But that attempt I did after the last show that I did in 2021. So that's the last time that I was a real bodybuilder, did a real prep. That's the best show that I've had so far as like my look. I had the most amount of muscle in that show. Everything was a lot better then. So that was what happened. I was just still depressed. Everything wasn't going my way. My ex, who I was with for almost 5 years, that's when we split up as well. So it was just like a lot of big life changes all at once. And I don't do well with that. It was very overwhelming for me, and it kind of sent me down lower and lower and lower to a point where I didn't care anymore. But we're a lot healthier now, and we know not to do stuff like that. Those thoughts I want you guys to think about as intrusive if it's something that you relate to at all, which I hope to God is not something that you relate to at all. If you ever have thoughts like that where you feel like you don't belong, you don't want to be around anymore, I promise they're intrusive. The way that I would describe them is, let's say you're sitting on your porch in front of your house and a white car drives by on the street. You can't do anything about the fact that that white car just drove by and crossed in your eye line. You just saw it come and go. And the impact that that could have on you is really depending on you and how you handle it. You know what I mean? You could like worry about it if you wanted to. Who was in that car? Why were they driving by my house? Whatever. You can get paranoid about it. Or you could just disregard it like you should. So that's how I think about those thoughts of not wanting to be alive anymore, as a white car driving by. Just disregard that. It's not important. It's something that I don't need to worry about. It's something that is not true to me. So that's kind of how I've been battling those thoughts a lot more lately. I will not lie to you guys, though. It is something that is still very, very much consistent in my day-to-day life almost. I'm working on it a lot. Me and my therapist have been talking about things that we can do to work through it. And sorry, I'm trying to like sort these out at the same time as I'm talking. We're talking about ways that we can kind of get through it. And every week when I go in for my weekly therapy session, we'll go over like how often or how intense or whatever the feelings were, because we're really trying to work on those things. A lot of it is from childhood trauma that I have, just from growing up in the way that I did, which is something that I'll get into, I'm sure, over time in other videos. But since a lot of the stuff from my childhood was accidentally repressed and I haven't really worked on it yet, I want to keep it for myself for now. And then I will definitely become a little bit more vulnerable about that stuff as time goes on, or in little bits, you know, throughout like every video that I do. But things have been a lot better. The only thing that's been a struggle is like before I started doing these YouTube videos, I was at like that low point again where I didn't really want to try anymore. I didn't know what to do anymore. So a lot of those things were still happening. And that's why I started this YouTube channel, because I wanted to give myself some structure. I wanted to be able to help others. That's the biggest thing. I've been racking my brain for so long. I'm like, how can I help other people with their mental health and the struggles that they're going through as well? Like in a bigger way. Like, how can I do that? I want to go to college and like for like psychology and stuff. I don't have time to do that. And that's like a long-term thing that I'm going to do. But it's not something that I can do to help people right now. So what is something that I can do right now? I can just start posting and talking. That's all I can do. Posting and talking. So I'm going to be doing that. YouTube's a lot better for that. TikTok was great for a while. I'm still going to be using it, but YouTube is just a lot better for the thing that I'm trying to do. So that's why we find ourselves here now. But the reason that I want you guys to understand and know that these thoughts and these feelings that I'm having, this hard moment that I'm going through, has not gone away yet, is because I want you to see me working every single day like I have been and like I will continue to do on self-improvement. Like, you're going to see me every day. I'm going to talk about the meals I've eaten. Like today, I can tell you I've been eating my meals and everything's been going perfectly fine. You're going to see me training in the gym. You're going to see my split, everything that I've been working on. I'm going to tell you guys what my coach and stuff has had set up for me. I'm going to show you guys my check-ins every single week. Like, these are things that you're going to see. You're going to watch me progress regardless of all of the BS that I've gone through or am currently going through. And that's hopefully going to show you guys that no matter what BS you're going through, you can still progress and you can still make moves and you can still push towards the life that you actually want to be having, instead of getting stuck back in misery. It's just not healthy for you. So that's what I want to be doing. And it's helped me, honestly. I think that when I try to help people with their mental health, I notice it doing things for me almost immediately. So I was kind of saying it in like one of my other videos. I feel like I've been doing a lot better since I started the YouTube thing, because I feel like I'm talking to people like you guys, like some of you in, like message me on Instagram. I'll talk to you guys, like you'll tell me about the video or whatever. I've seen people comment on a couple of the YouTube videos that I've done so far saying things like I've helped them. Somebody told me that they went to the gym for the first day in 2 years because of my video, and that made me really happy. So even on the early stages of this, we're not even 10 days in, and I feel like I'm already achieving what I'm trying to do, and that's giving me a really good feeling about the direction of this whole entire thing. And it's helping me out as well. I know that I'm doing something now. I know that I'm progressing somewhere. I know I'm making an impact in somebody else's life, and that's the main thing. So I'm really, really happy to be doing this. I'm sure I'm going to be getting hate no matter what. That's just kind of what happens with social media. It happened on TikTok and Instagram and every social media platform that I've ever used. So I know that that's going to be an inevitable thing. And I'm just going to continue to push past it, ignore it, and disregard it like I should. So I'm sure people will think that I'm Sam Sulik copycat or whatever, but that's just because all of us meatheads are the same. All we care about is going to the gym. All we care about and think about in our day is eating our food and going to the gym. That's all that we do. That's all that we do. So if we're going to start a YouTube channel, that's all you're going to really see, right? It's the personality of the person that you're watching that's going to make all of the difference. Sam has an incredible personality. I haven't seen too many of his videos, but I do see a lot of the clips that he posts, and he's just got a good personality. So that's why people like him. It doesn't have to do with just the bodybuilding and his achievements. He's got a good personality. That's the separating factor between people on social media. The problem that I see though is people like to follow random like accounts of people that are like playing characters and stuff, and I'm not really a big fan of the whole character thing. I thought about doing characters on social media to be able to push products or whatever, but it just seems so disingenuous to me, and it seems morally not right. Like I don't feel like, I mean, look at what I'm doing. I'm a vulnerable person. I'm talking about me and my life experiences to help others, and these are hard things to talk about. These are things that I've had to go to therapy and see a psychiatrist for, and things that I've been navigating trying to figure out my whole life. It's not easy stuff to be, just letting out into the world and showing people, because it can change the way that people look at me. But I'd rather do that than be something that I'm not. You know what I mean? As far as the car progress goes, we've got the base of it here, the little spokes for the wheels and stuff. Obviously, I don't think I'm going to finish it just because of how slow going this is, because I'm just like talking and I'm getting wrapped up in talking. That's good though, I guess. We'll make this a series if we have to, but I'm going to finish this car with you guys. It's important to me that I do that because I was supposed to finish this car with my grandpa. But I guess I can talk about that a little bit more. Interestingly enough, he's not my real grandpa. I don't know my real grandpa on either side of the family. I don't know my real grandpa at all. So he married into the family. He married my grandmother, and he's the only real grandpa that I know. I don't know. I think I said that. Sorry. Oh, we're blanking already. It's so hard for me to focus on two things. I have ADHD. But he was a biker. He liked motorcycles and stuff. I got a couple things from him, like this motorcycle thing back here that you see. I actually got that from him, and I got some knives and stuff. So I guess that's kind of cool. I get to have a little piece of him here with me as well. But yeah, it's weird. I met him when I was really young, but like one of my core memories is my grandma and my grandpa's wedding, which I couldn't have been older than 2 or 3 years old for. Like I have no idea how old I was, but I remember it because it was at a park in my hometown, and I just have that memory in my brain still. So I thought that was pretty cool. But I think, since I'm getting so off track and I'm having a hard time focusing for now, I'm going to go to the questions and answer those too. And then we will just kind of let my ADHD carry us wherever it goes. The first one, I think one of my clients asked me this one. What makes a successful client? And we're talking about bodybuilding here, and lifestyle clients, people that are hiring like online coaches like myself to lose or gain weight or gain muscle, get on a stage, whatever. I think what makes a client successful is Obviously, consistency is going to be a big thing. Um, you're not going to get anywhere without consistency. You're going to want to be able to do things over a long period of time. Otherwise, you're not going to see that much progress. Consistency is going to be a big contributor to success. A successful client is going to put their trust in their coach, that they have their best interests at heart and everything, I guess. So like you you need to do what your coach is telling you, and you can question them. Like I actually want my clients to ask me questions. I prefer that they do so that I can answer them. I want to teach people as well. I love nutrition and training, so I want to be able to teach people about those things. So asking questions to your coach if you want to learn, that's going to be something that makes you a successful client. And just sticking to your goals and doing the things that you say you're going to do, following through 100%. You don't want to half-ass anything. And at the end of the day, your coach, yes, you're paying them. Obviously, they're making money off of you, but they're investing a lot of time into you and energy. And if they're a good coach, they're going to really care about you and the things that you can achieve. And it's really disappointing when you see somebody not give it their 100% effort. Like, wasted potential is something that's very upsetting for me to see. So that's going to be another thing that I would say makes a successful client. Man, this video's we're 20 minutes in, and this is how far we've gotten in the car. So it's very, I'm just more and more confident in the fact that I'm probably not going to finish it. Now my dogs are going wild. Hopefully that's not picking up by the microphone. Let me just close the door real quick. Somebody asked me, actually a couple people asked me how tall I am. I'm 6'2". 6'2". I actually used to be 6'3", and I broke my back in a car accident when I was 16 years old. I was driving home from, I don't actually know where I was driving home from, but I was driving home and I got in an accident because of a blizzard, and it just ended up really messing up my back. The hospital in my hometown is a very, very, just a sorry excuse for a hospital, to be honest. They don't ever do anything right. I lived in a very small town. So because of the hospital, I had nerve damage in my legs. They kept me strapped to, like, you know when you see somebody like getting taken in an ambulance and they're strapped to a board like on their back, and that's typical for back injuries. They had me strapped to that board for like 2 straight days, trying to figure out if they were going to send me, life flight me to a better facility for like treatment or anything, somebody that was like a spinal specialist or whatever they were saying. And that debate went on, I guess, for 2 days. So I didn't get to go to the actual hospital that could help me for that long. And then I ended up having nerve issues. And still to this day, and it's years and years later, I don't feel everything in my legs. I think it's mostly temperature now. I just don't feel temperature fully in my legs anymore. So that is the funny story about why I am an inch shorter than I used to be. My L4 and my L5 are completely compressed. Now, that's funny too. I guess I could talk about, sorry, this is why I meant, like, my ADHD is just going to carry us wherever it chooses to. The reason I started bodybuilding is because of my friend Abraham. That's the one who I had unfortunately lost. That's who I was saying. He got me started in the gym because I was in weights class in high school, and I had that, like, I had my back issue, so I could not work out. They didn't want to be liable. The school didn't want to be liable for like me getting hurt or anything because I had a back injury or whatever. So I was in weights class and I wasn't able to lift. And the only person in there who was willing to pair up with the kid who can't lift in weights class was him. So he paired up with me, and he was teaching me things and telling me all these things. Even though I wasn't able to be lifting, he was still my partner trying to like help me learn. And then he helped me get my first gym membership at an Anytime Fitness. And that's how I started doing this. So a lot of this I contribute to him. Pretty much everything that I've been able to do up to this point, I contribute to my friend Abraham. I feel like I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him, specifically because he literally did get me into the gym. Like, he's the first thing that I ever, like, first person I ever looked at and was like, that's a bodybuilder. That's a real bodybuilder. He never competed or anything, but that's what I like thought of like being a bodybuilder. He was my first idea of that. After that, I just kind of like went into a sinkhole of like, I don't know, it was just me like wanting to be able to like get bigger and compete and learn as much as I possibly could. I got into watching bodybuilding as a fan when I was much younger, but I'd never actually been able to go to the gym or anything. I was always a skinny kid. I was like 130, 140 pounds in high school at like pretty much the same height that I am now. So I was just never able to go to the gym because of my home life. But I was obsessed with working out from a very young age. So I was always getting on YouTube and finding like these fitness videos. There's this guy who used to be on YouTube who now I know is kind of a scam artist. So I don't know if I'm going to name drop them, but millions of subscribers, somebody who has posted tons of videos over the years. Like it's been years and years and years. Like I said, this was when I was like 12 or 13 years old, and that was almost 10 years ago. I'd been watching these videos, and then I came across a Jay Cutler documentary on muscle and strength. And that's the first real bodybuilder that I saw. And I saw him talking about how he eats his meals and like preparing his meals, having his wife help him do that, the massage work that he does, going to the gym, the mindset of like getting on stage. And that's what made me fall so deep into legitimate bodybuilding. So when I met Abraham and I had that opportunity to be able to go to the gym with him and learn how to do all of these things, that just changed my entire life because it gave me the opportunity to put into practice the thing that I was already so obsessed with. I was always trying to find like at home workouts and stuff, but I never actually did them. So, well, I did them, but like it was like abs and stuff, and I didn't really know anything. I was a kid. So, when I saw this dude on that channel that I was telling you about, that is most likely a scam, he's talking about how you need to learn how to burn fat overnight to have a good physique. And I'm like anorexic kid, and I'm like, I got to learn how to burn fat overnight. That's how I got to do it. I've got to eat coconut oil or whatever it was that he was always ranting about. So that's kind of how I got started with everything. The next question was when I'm going to be doing my next show. I'm 30 weeks out right now, so we're going to be competing. That's the whole point of the series too. I'm going to be trying to get my pro card at the end of the year. When I got my overall last year, I qualified for nationals and qualified to the end of the year. So we're trying to put on all of my size again now so that I can do a prep and compete in nationals December of this year and go for my pro card in classic physique. So that's going to be the next show that I do. I always do classic physique. That's usually like that's my main category. I believe that that's the one that I'm best built for as well. But when I do the local shows, I always do open bodybuilding too. I actually got my overall in open bodybuilding. I'm just not big enough to be an open bodybuilder yet. I'm too tall. I was 255 at my heaviest at 6'2", and to be competitive as a professional open bodybuilder, I would need to be like probably close to 300 pounds. I'm not saying that open bodybuilding isn't something that I want to do. It's definitely something that I'm very interested in, but it's something that I won't do for a long time there's a couple reasons, but I probably won't do it for a long time. It takes a lot of time to build a physique like that. It takes a lot of time to build that amount of muscle. So that's going to be a patience game in itself. And since I just fit the classic category so well and I still have room in my weight cap, there's really no reason for me not to just stay in classic at the moment. And it's going to be a lot healthier for me as well. Which kind of brings me to my next point, which was I don't know if I'm going to be able to do open as much as I am interested in it because I have a genetic condition called acromegaly. If you guys want to look that up, acromegaly is basically like my body oversecretes growth hormone. It's the reason my hands are oversized, my nose. I have to go see an endocrinologist and everything for it. I have a pituitary adenoma, so that is something that could hinder my longevity in the sport if I was to be able to, or if I was wanting to push size. It's already really unhealthy to bodybuild. And the amount of time it would take me to get to a competitive open bodybuilding physique might also just be killing me faster because I don't know if I'm going to compete past 35 years old. A lot of people hit their prime in pro bodybuilding at 35 years old. And I'm probably looking to retire at that age because the acromegaly is already something that is going to be taking years off of my life just with it existing. It's not even something that I have to like contribute to. So when you know that you're a bodybuilder, pro bodybuilders, like we're not going to pretend like we don't do PEDs and stuff. These are all things that are harder on your health. Carrying that amount of size is harder on your health. So that's just a bigger decision for me for a later date if I can be healthy enough to do it, or if it's even something worth doing. But if I'm doing good in classic physique, like I want to be anyways, there's really no reason for me to move into the open bodybuilding unless I just do like one show for fun at some point in time. But right now I'm looking for this piece here. Uh, it's so hard for me to focus on all of this at the same time, and I feel like I'm just rambling to you guys. But that's the point of this video. It's to get to know me and why I'm doing this. So it's not like the rambling is a bad thing. It just might be really out of order ADHD splurge kind of rambling, which is fine. Man, I can't find this piece at all. While I look for this piece, I guess I'll go into the next question, which was what my favorite hobby is, and that's actually really difficult for me to answer. I don't know. I don't know. I guess bodybuilding is a hobby. That would be my favorite hobby. I would say that one is like an easy answer, but I'm trying to think beyond bodybuilding. I don't really have that many. I don't do anything anymore. I really like to snowboard sometimes, like in the winter. I've had a lot of hobbies over the years. Sometimes I'll get on like Logic Pro and I'll make beats and stuff, but it's not something that I would ever do publicly because I'm not good at it. It's just something that I like to do for myself to wind down because I really like music. I'm really into music. So I'll get on there and I'll make some beats. I used to be really into video games when I was younger, and that's something that I want to get back into, but it's been a long time and I don't know if I have the patience to sit down and play a video game fully for that long. So that's something that I need to figure out too. Maybe I'm going to do it for the videos though, because I think I've said that before. Like maybe on a rest day, I can start like a gameplay series or something, and that would give me more of a reason to do it where I feel like I'm kind of being productive and I'm not just wasting my time sitting in front of a computer. But I do have a PC for gaming that I just don't use that much. I used to skateboard. I did freestyle BMX and I raced BMX. I used to box for a couple years. I always just like find these random hobbies that I latch onto. I was really into auto mechanics for a while, so I was restoring a 1970 Ford Bronco when I was younger. Um, I've had lots of hobbies. That's part of the thing with ADHD. You usually have a lot of hobbies and you usually burn out from them very quickly, and that's something that has been very true for me my whole life. But the one hobby that I've never burned out from has been bodybuilding, so that's why that's the one that sticks. That's the one that I do. But I do go back to like old hobbies sometimes. Like I did skateboarding like just for fun not that long ago. It was a bad idea because I was a little too heavy to do it and I ended up hurting my ankle. But I did skateboard for a little bit. What else? What else? I know I have done more like random little things like that before. Like sneakers, I guess, is a hobby, right? I was doing Jordans for a while. I was helping a friend of mine in Australia with his business, doing like resale on Jordans and Yeezys and stuff. And I started to collect them a little bit here and there. It's something that I'm pretty burnt out from now, but it is something that I was doing was I was helping him resell shoes and I was reselling shoes myself and just have a collection of them now that I don't take any good care of because I don't like the sneaker community. I don't like the Jordan sneaker community. All you collectible people that are into shoes and stuff, I don't like sneakerheads because sometimes you guys just buy your shoes to sit in a closet and accrue value so you can sell it, or like you never wear them. You buy them for like a trophy or something, but like they're shoes. You're supposed to buy them to wear them. So I beat my shoes up all the time. Like they don't look very good because I'm actually using and wearing them like they're supposed to be used. It's just weird for me that like a lot of sneakerheads don't do that. Like they care about creasing their shoes and like all this silly stuff that I don't care to pay any attention to. But that's the way that they choose to enjoy that hobby for themselves. So I guess it's not really something that I can say anything about. It would be unfair of me to judge people for the way that they like to do things just because it's not similar to the way that I like to do things. But sneakers is like another hobby. Other than that, I can't really think of any off the top of my head. If I do, then I'll come back to it. Um, Music taste. I feel like it's pretty basic. I'm not gonna lie. I really like hip hop music. I like rap music. I don't really do anything beyond that. But I love the really experimental kind of hip hop music. Like ASAP Rocky kind of brought cloud music or cloud rap into the public eye, or like he popularized it, and cloud rap is something that's really interesting to me. I love the production, I love the sounds, He has such dynamic flows with his lyricism. ASAP Rocky's just a really, really good artist like that because of that reason. He's very experimental. Like the song LSD is a very experimental song. It's different from other music that was going on at that time. That's something that I really like. Another good song that would be an example would be Hold My Liquor by Kanye West. That was produced by Mike Dean. I just love the production and the everything about that song is so amazing to me. That's why I do the beats and stuff on Logic Pro every now and then. I'm very interested in production. I love sound. I love to mess with sounds. It's just a lot of. It's really cool for me to see that. Kid Cudi's another one that does a lot of experimental music. Tyler the Creator is probably the best example. Tyler the Creator coming out with really really good rap albums. He produces them himself. He's like a very one of a kind artist that does everything. And Igor, which you can see back here, that album right there, Igor, is an experimental album, and it's like one of my favorite albums of all time. Then you have people like Kendrick Lamar, which another album and song that I'm going to be using is you have To Pimp a Butterfly, that album right there. Wesley's Theory or You, those are very experimental songs. That whole album was pretty experimental in the way that it's like jazz beats kind of over like with rap and everything and hip hop. I thought that that was a really cool album, but that's the stuff that I like as far as music taste goes. And it's funny because when an album is released, usually I my favorite song is the least popular song on that release. So when Utopia released, one of my favorite songs was Thank God, and that song wasn't the most popular song or even coming close to it on that album. And then my other favorite song from that album was what is it called? I can't think of it off the top of my head right now for some reason. Um, Love with Kid Cudi. That one's different. I really like that one. It's a different kind of song, so it was really cool. Um, then yeah, it's just typically that's how it is for like a lot of the albums that release. I like the songs that are like more, you know, less popular than the rest of them. And then with the whole Drake beef and everything going on, that was a lot of fun for me because Kendrick Lamar is one of my favorite artists, and I've never liked Drake. If I'm being honest, I've never liked Drake. I've gone through a lot my whole life. I've had a lot of struggles, and Drake is the type of person who pretends that he has gone through struggles when he actually really hasn't. That's why I stopped liking him in 2013 when what was it? What was it? Back started from the bottom. When he dropped started from the bottom, and it's like insinuating that he started from this like rough point in life and he's built this like level of success. Started from the bottom, now we're here. That irritates me because he that's just not how it is, and that's why a lot of people have an issue with him in the first place. That's why Kendrick Lamar has an issue with him. It's because he is not actually a part of the culture, which rap and hip hop is like an activism, like outspeaking thing, like about struggles that people go through. And it's mainly like the African American struggles, of course, but like it still is struggles in general, everything involved in that. So he's not really a part of that culture. He's somebody that pretends to be, and that's the reason why people are not a fan of him, including myself. I will say though, he does have good songs, and I do have some of his songs on playlists, but it's not a whole lot of them. It's definitely a very, very underwhelming amount. And my favorite Drake song isn't even really a Drake song. My favorite Drake song is 4422, and that's Sampha. That's, I guess it is obviously a Drake song, but it's not really a Drake song. The thing I like about it is Sampha's vocals. So it doesn't really matter to me if it's on Drake's album or not. It's just a good song in my opinion. It's the best one that he's ever had in his discography, in my opinion. So that's the way that I see it. But let's see. Favorite song. I forgot that that was another one of those questions. I don't know. My favorite song really depends on a lot of different things. Like there's so many things like or times, I guess. Like I have ADHD, I'll have a fixation on a song for a while. I'll listen to it every single day. That's kind of what it depends on. So I can kind of go over what have been my favorite songs, or maybe what currently is my favorite song right now is Stars by Jid. That album right here has that song on it. That's one of my favorite songs right now that I like to listen to on a regular basis. And then pretty much every single one of Kendrick's disses. 616 in LA was my favorite song of the whole entire diss. I thought it was incredible. I love the production of it. So that's my favorite song from that. Ghost Towns by Kanye West on Ye. That was my favorite song and still is one of my favorite songs. It has been for an extremely long time. Dangerous by Schoolboy Q and Kid Cudi on Crash Talk. That was and still is one of my favorite songs of all time. That's these songs that I'm listing. This is what I would refer to as like perfect songs. There's nothing wrong with them. They sound amazing. There's literally nothing that I would nitpick about it. I'm very sensitive to like noises and stuff, and that's why I like music so much. And like when the drums and the vocals and like everything, just the chords, everything lines up so well. It's just so satisfying for me to listen to. That's when I would classify it as like a perfect song. Because obviously there's songs that I like, and there's things in the songs that I like that I don't necessarily like. But that's not one of them. There's tons of songs like that, but I can't think of them all off the top of my head. Right now, this is where we're at. I don't know if this is the front or the back of the car, but this is pretty much all that we've built here. And I'm probably only going to do this for a little bit longer just because this video is running pretty long. It's a lot longer than I was expecting it to be, but that's okay because I feel like I'm doing what I set out to do, and that's trying to help you guys get to know me and my message a little bit more here. So we are succeeding in our goals, and that is the goal of every single day with this series on YouTube, is just succeed in our goals. So we're going to continue to do that. Next question was go-to cheat meal, and this is actually the last one that I had, I guess. Man, everybody asks this, and this is another thing that I want to say it depends, and sometimes it just doesn't at all. I'm not a food person. I think I said this in one of my videos. I don't really care that much about flavor in food. I'm more just like trying to have it for functionality. I have sensory issues. I honestly don't like diagnoses. So like words like ADHD, OCD, autism, all these things, I feel like they're just words that should mean nothing to you. Like it doesn't define who you are. It just defines something that you're dealing with. You know what I mean? Or something that you're capable of or you have. Because I would say that ADHD and autism are two things that you can actually benefit from sometimes just from my experiences. I wouldn't want to be neurotypical. I'm neurodivergent and I wouldn't want to be neurotypical, but everything in the world, our society is constructed on like neurotypical structure, neurotypical, what's the word? Systems. So things don't really click that well for me sometimes, but I completely lost my train of thought with that. It just has to do with food. So I have sensory processing issues. And the reason I was talking about diagnoses is because sensory processing disorder is something that comes with ADHD and autism or neurodivergence in general. And I have that very, very bad with flavors. The things that I don't like sensory wise are certain clothes, like the way that they fit. I don't like being wet or having wet hair. So like after the shower, that's something that really bothers me. And then I don't like flavors in food. That usually is a lot worse if I'm stressed out or if there's something going on in my life in the moment. Like adding stresses is going to make all of these things a lot worse. But I don't like flavor in my foods typically. It's just not something that I'm into. So with that being said, I don't really have that many go-to cheat meals. Sometimes I do like food more than others. So I would say when I was doing prep, I think I just had the same cheat meal every single week. When I was given one, I would just have Five Guys. I'd get 2 burgers from Five Guys with grilled onions on it and then the fries. That's kind of what I would say is a go-to cheat meal. And something that I've always loved, which is it's not the greatest thing to be eating as a bodybuilder, but I absolutely love Taco Bell. I think Taco Bell is an incredible place. Taco Bell is like one of my favorite fast food chains of all time. But no, usually I just don't care about flavor that much. So I don't really do cheat meals that often. I kind of just like to stay on my plan. That's why I like to have a coach. He writes what I'm supposed to eat. He tells me what to eat. I eat it. It's that easy. And I'm doing a full day of eating tomorrow, so you guys will see a lot more of what that is. But I like to try to keep my diet clean. With having acromegaly, I do eat a lot more food than most people typically. Like when I was in the coal mines, obviously because of energy expenditure, but also because of my genetic issue, I was eating 8,400 calories a day. And I do have much proof of that actually. And Terrence Ruffin, having been my coach, he knows this as well. But I was eating a lot of food. So there's times where you have to fit in calorie dense options so that you can hit your goals. because it's just not, it's not sustainable to eat 8,000 clean calories a day. Right now, thankfully, we're on all clean calories because I have a very small stomach compared to what I used to. So I can't fit that much food in. So right now we're at like 4,200 calories, I think. But otherwise, no. I'm not a fan of flavors. I this is, I guess, a good something I can talk about. When I worked in the coal mines, I would have two shakes a day. I wouldn't have a lot of breaks underground in the coal mines, so it's a very labor intensive job. You're working a lot of hours. There's a lot of stuff to do. You're supposed to be productive all the time, so you don't get a lot of breaks, and sometimes we didn't get lunches. So I would blend a lot of my food. I would have one or two real meals. I would eat one of my meals like in our safety meeting before we go underground, and then I would eat another meal on a lunch break if we got one. Otherwise, I would have two blended shakes that were just chicken and rice, and then I would have two blended shakes that were a high calorie concoction, and it would be whole milk, sweetened condensed milk, 1 cup of oats, 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, 2 scoops of protein powder, 1 scoop of dextrose, and 2 tablespoons of avocado oil. I think that's all that was in it. And you blend that up and you chug it. And it was like almost like 1,600 calorie shake or something. It was disgusting, but that's how I bodybuilded every single day when I was working underground in the coal mines. That's what I lived off of, was those really disgusting shakes that I had to eat. But maybe that's why I don't like flavor. It's because I don't have a healthy relationship with food. I never have. It's either I'm starving myself or I'm eating a ton of food, and it's like really disgusting concoctions like that. Ah, okay. I guess we'll finish this little side project that it's having me do right now before I go. But it's having me build this thing. I'm assuming it's going to become a bumper of some sort. I don't know where it goes on the car yet, but I have to build a second one of these. It's the exact same thing, just flipped around. So I will do that, and then this will probably be the end of the video. We'll see how far we got in this car, which is not very. And then we will return to this my next rest day, which is actually Thursday. Or maybe I'll do a little bit of it tomorrow or something, whatever. We'll sprinkle it into all the other videos somehow. I don't have any other questions to answer though, so we're going to be going straight into the scary ADHD brain that I have instead. If I can think straight. Okay, we got that on. I guess I could talk about all of the jobs that I've had, because a lot of people like to make excuses in the gym, or like with getting back on track, like what the series is about. People make excuses like, I don't have time, I work too many hours, whatever, right? But I don't like these excuses because I've worked so many labor intensive jobs. One of those, like I said, was the coal mines. I worked in the coal mines for a while. I think I've talked about that enough in this video though, so I'll talk about the other ones. I worked as security in a Toronto mine, and that was graveyard shifts. So that was kind of brutal. It was a very boring job. It wasn't actually that labor intensive. It was just boring, and it was like an hour away from where I lived. I used to deliver soda. I was a merchandiser for Pepsi. And then I delivered beer, and I was driving Class A CDL semi trucks delivering beer. And that was when I was like 18, 19 years old. Which is when I started really truly bodybuilding, was 18, 19 years old, by the way. That's when I started competing and everything. So that was actually a much more labor intensive job than people would expect it to be, because you have to merchandise all of the product after you've driven. And I did not have a great route. The route that I was given was like an hour and a half out of town, where everybody else had like in-town routes, and it was easier for them. I had to drive an hour and a half out of town and then deliver to all the liquor stores and bars in a different town. But thankfully, I had a really good friend who was working that job with me, so it made it a lot more bearable. But it was still not like a great job. I did construction for a bit, so I helped build an airport hangar. That was definitely interesting. What else have I done? I could have swore it's been more. Yeah, it has been more. I just can't think off the top of my head. Okay, chemical plant. I worked at a chemical plant. I was operating. I was trying to be a chemical plant operator. I was what is it called? I can't think of what it's called anymore. Spray dry or sand dry or something. I don't know. It was a magnesium plant, so we were making magnesium. That was one of the most brutal jobs I've ever had. That was actually a lot worse than the coal mines. It was extreme temperatures, no breaks. The whole plant was falling apart. Really bad working conditions, very dangerous environment, breathing in chlorine gas constantly, which is also something that didn't help with my lung issues at all. So that was um, that was a big part of my life too. This is and talking about this stuff is kind of cool because it's making me think like getting back on track is really hard, right? Like if you're following along with me on getting back on track, you can agree this stuff is not easy, but let's think back on stuff that we used to do like that. Like what kind of jobs have you guys had or what kind of stuff have you guys gone through? We've probably already done a lot harder things than this. So that might give us a little bit of hope that these things aren't going to be as difficult anymore. Like we're going to get through them. Um, this wants me to do, like, I can't figure out if this is what this wants. I think so. Okay. Don't worry, guys. We're figuring it out. But yeah, I think that's something good to think about sometimes. When you are trying to do a hard thing or you're getting overwhelmed by how difficult a thing is that you are doing, just try to think about all the other hard stuff that you've done. I've done a lot harder than this before. I worked 16-hour days, an hour away from home, and still went to the gym and ate my meals every single day. And I was working in the coal mines. I was just beating up my body. I was sending my body into a ground every day. I was just like working myself to death. That's so much harder than what I have to do now. I'm a coach. I do social media for a living. I coach my clients. I do consultation calls with people. They'll hit me up and I'll build them a split or anything like based off of like the stuff that they're telling me on the phone. I'll do stuff like that. And then I bodybuild. It's pretty much just my whole life. I get paid by my sponsors and stuff. This getting back on track now seems really difficult mentally for me, but then I just think back on all the hard stuff that I've done and that kind of makes it seem a little bit easier. So hopefully that's a little tip that you guys can take with you too and make things easier for yourselves. But it's also good to think about where we've come from too, because if you're somebody like me who's like very goal driven, you just want to do big things, and you feel like you're very stagnant in that, like you're not moving up as fast as you want to, you're not seeing the amount of progress that you want to. Thinking about how far you've come and where you started is going to be a big help. That's why I tell you guys to take like check-in photos and stuff. Take check-in photos every single week, even if you don't have a coach, keep them for yourself, but just do that so that you can recognize all of the progress that you've been making this whole time. You can compare things. Like I said, I'm going to be maybe getting to like day 100 of this series, and I can look back on day one and I can see how much of a difference I've made in my physique, and that will be something that'll be very motivating to me. Like I remember what point I was at there. I didn't want to be alive. I was very depressed. I hadn't eaten in weeks. I was really sick. These are all the things that I was starting off of just this week. And I can look back on all of that 100 days from now with all of my newfound progress because I've been consistent with it the whole entire time. And it will give me a sense of realization that I actually have been achieving something big. So that's why I think it's cool to try and keep check-ins. Keep your check-ins. I have every single check-in that I've ever submitted since I started bodybuilding, I think, on my phone, which would be a cool video maybe to go through those one day. But let's see and see what we want to do here with this. It's getting confusing, I'm not gonna lie. Oh, there's special different pieces with little mark and stuff on them. Okay, cool. I didn't screw up that bad. Didn't screw up that bad. This is what we're at now. So I do believe that this is a bumper, something that we're building here. This is going to be the final piece that we build before we're done. I just keep saying that. I know, I'm sorry. Hopefully, I've not been rambling too much to a point where everything that I'm saying is completely pointless and stupid. I'm trying my best to not let my ADHD brain just go on a spree and like say a bunch of nonsense. I want everything to kind of make sense and tie into each other, but it's just not how my brain works. So I'm really, really sorry if this video doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but hopefully you guys get like the main point of it, you know? This is nice though. I get to build this with you guys. This is something that I've been putting off for a while because I thought it was going to be really hard for me to do, just like thinking about my grandpa and everything that had happened. But being able to do it like this and talk to you guys at the same time has actually been really helpful for me. So this is pretty fun. Which I was worried that this wasn't going to be a fun task. I was worried it was going to be a very emotional one. I thought it was going to be very difficult, but thankfully we're getting through it. That's all we can do is get through it. I think I'm doing this right too. Who knows? Kind of cool thing about this build that we're doing too is it's a car that I kind of have. I guess, I mean, I'm not a big fan of like, I didn't really watch Fast and the Furious movies and stuff, but I have seen them. And this is what this car is. It's Dom's Charger, which I thought was a Challenger this whole time until I read this box. I thought he was driving a Challenger because it's a two-door, but I drive a Challenger. So it's kind of cool that I'm kind of making my car, but also not, because my Challenger is white. So it's not the same thing, but just let me have this victory in my head, please, and thank you. You don't need to take that away from me. Let's see if I can find this piece. I kind of messed up by pouring out the Legos onto my black mouse pad on my desk, so a lot of these black pieces I'm not able to find very easily. Let's see, I think we're almost done with this though. I think that it's about to be completed. What the heck is that? What is that piece though? Man, I don't know where to find that. Oh, I found it. Don't worry, we got it. Okay. What the? Okay, I see now why it's doing that. That's whack. I don't like that. It's ugly, it's weird, and it's going to be really hard for me to find those little tiny goofy pieces. But we're going to do it anyways. What exactly is that I'm looking for here? Okay. Let me ramble about tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to be training. Oh, that's why it's so hard to find. It's a little teeny tiny thing. But tomorrow we're going to be training push day. And it's going to be the first day back on my split, because all these other videos that you guys have seen of me going to the gym, they are not my actual split that I'm supposed to be doing. It's just been something that I've had to do for now since I'm getting back into things and I hadn't eaten in a while. I was just trying to do what I could at the time. So tomorrow the real split starts. That's why I want to do a full day of eating tomorrow too, because it's just like, that's like the real fresh start. The point of these, like starting the day that I did on these videos, was because it was my 25th birthday. And I thought that that was kind of an important day for me to try and like start to do something big and get myself out of this depression instead of trying to wait it out. So that's what we're doing. I'm sick of waiting on feeling normal to try and do things again. And even though I don't have the energy or the desire to do stuff, I'm going to force it anyways. So that's why I started this on my birthday. It was just unfortunate that I was also really sick at the same time. So you'll hear that in my videos too, like really congested and everything is just not so great. But that is oh, I think we're done here. I think we're clicking these pieces on right now. But right, yeah, okay, so it's not even like, it didn't really like change much. Like this whole thing that I just built here goes on the bottom, so right here it clicked in like that, so it goes upside down like this. So I kind of just spent a lot of time on the bottom of the car that you're not even going to see. But yeah, I guess I lost what I was saying before because I got distracted by that. Happens. But this is where we're going to leave off on this video. Again, just to remind you guys, this is what we're building. So we will definitely finish this in another video, maybe on a rest day, or maybe I'll just do little bits and pieces of it throughout the week and each day. But thank you guys for doing this with me. If you stuck around for the whole video, even though it was an hour long, it really means a lot to me. Like I said, this is something that I wanted to do symbolically because I was supposed to build this with my grandpa in the hospital, and didn't expect, what happened to have had happened. So it's really nice for me to be able to finally get this project going since I've been putting it off for so long. He passed away last year, so it's not been a full year yet, but it's been a while. So it's good it feels accomplishing to actually get this started. But that is day 6. I think today's day 6. So thank you guys for doing this with me. Let me know if this is something that you like to see. Let me know if you have any suggestions for other stuff that you want to see on rest days, because I'm kind of like adventurous and open to doing whatever on rest days. I think it'd be fun to have like little mini series of like side quests that we can do on my rest days or whatever. But I appreciate you guys a ton. I hope that if you're following along with me and you were trying to get back on track as well, that you crushed all of your goals today. I hope you did all the things that you set out to do. I hope you ate all your meals. I hope you went to the gym if you were supposed to and did your cardio. I hope that everything is starting to work out for you guys, no matter what it is that you're going through or what it is that you've gone through. I hope that things are solid for you guys, and I'm looking forward to talking to you again tomorrow.